What up guys, another AMA coming at you. It's a beautiful day in California. The sun is peeking out. It's starting to feel like summer, which I love personally. And yeah, let's dive into some questions. As always, leave your comments below. We are restocking the electrolytes on Amazon. So if you want to get the electrolytes, just look up Santa Cruz Paleo on Amazon and get those electrolytes. There are some horchata and chocolate proteins left as well. So get those while you can. Leave your comments below and I'll get to them. Let's dive into this week's AMA. This question is, Brendan, what deodorant do you use? So I buy one at Whole Foods. I think it's called Frank's or something like that. And it's completely like unscented. I don't really see the need for a scented deodorant. And the ingredients are very simple. I think there's 4 ingredients. There are a good amount of options at like Whole Foods or at Sprouts or at any natural grocery store. What you want to look for is a minimal ingredient list overall. I'm not a fan of aluminum-based deodorants, even though people say they're totally fine. I don't believe blocking the sweat ducts of your underarm is a good idea. And you probably want to have ones that stay away from stuff like zinc in your deodorants, because you can throw off like your zinc copper balance by rubbing the zinc all over your skin. So just be careful about that. The next question is actually one I get a lot. What level or belt are you in jiu-jitsu? I am a blue belt at 10th Planet. So I've been training jiu-jitsu for a little while. I don't train, every single day like some of my friends. So I'm a long-time blue belt and I absolutely love it. Highly recommend jiu-jitsu, super fun. I'm gonna go to practice tonight actually. This question is, Brendan, when did you start eating this way? So when I started eating overall this way was about 10, maybe 11 years ago at this point. And I started eating paleo, so I wasn't fully eating the way that I eat today, but I got interested in this even more when I was getting my degree in medical anthropology at UC Santa Cruz. It really confirmed a lot of the stuff I'd been feeling about diet. When you start to research where we came from as Homo sapiens, what we've eaten, what our species has relied on for sustenance and for health. So that really had me double down and refine some things with my diet. And I've been eating the way that I do now, which is like animal-based plus potatoes, vegetables, some stuff like that for about 5 years. The next question is, Brendan, do you eat pizza? No, I don't. It's not something that I eat. I'm not opposed to it. I always joke that when I go to Italy with my girlfriend someday, I'll definitely have some pizza and some pasta out there. But I'm not gonna go waste it on some like shitty Domino's or something like that. I have seen people make these like sourdough pizzas. I think that's kind of cool, but it's not something that I eat. The next question is, Brendan, what do you do when you get a cold or get sick? So luckily I haven't been sick with a cold in a while. 2 years ago I got that thing that everybody, kind of got. It was a big deal. And here's what I did. So I upped my vitamin C. I don't usually supplement with vitamin C. I just get my vitamin C through fruits and vegetables and, good food, stuff like that. But I upped vitamin C supplementation. I did up my zinc supplementation. I took vitamin D megadoses. I'm talking 30,000 to 50,000 IUs per day. I made sure to get into the sauna often. I walked a lot. I didn't like do any intense exercise. Just walking is really good for the lymphatic system. And some other stuff I did was I upped the beef liver. So I was like supplementing with beef liver on a pretty high level at that point. And all those things really helped me. I was barely sick. I had a headache for 2 days. I was fine. So those are some things that you can do when you get sick. And look, it's not to say that like being healthy means never getting sick. That wouldn't make sense. It would probably mean your immune system is underactive if you just never ever get sick. It's not really how the body works. What should happen is you maybe get a tiny bit sick and in a few days you're able to turn it around and be healthy again. You don't want to be sick for weeks and weeks at a time. It's a clear sign that something is wrong. This question is, Brendan, how many calories do you eat per day? Right now, I do not calorie count, and here's why. I'm not trying to lose weight. If anything, I'm trying to gain weight. So I just try to eat a lot of calories. And for me to calculate my calorie burn is a little bit difficult with all the activities I do. I'm not saying it's impossible. I just haven't sat down and really done that. Last time I calculated it, I was around 2,200 to 2,500 calories. And now that number will fluctuate a lot because if I'm doing an intense day of exercise, I'm gonna up the amount of carbohydrates. And I also pull the lever of how many calories I want to consume with fat. This is a very easy thing to do. If you're trying to gain weight and bulk up, if you just add more olive oil, more grass-fed butter, some coconut oil to your daily routine, you can up that amount of calories so easily. Honey is also a really good way to up that, as it's just really palatable calories. And if I'm trying to lean out, maybe I'm like going to Mexico and I want to like lean out because I'm going to be on camera shirtless or something like that. It's very easy for me to reduce that amount of fat and carbohydrates. I always keep the protein I try to hit around 165 to 170 grams of protein per day, no matter what. But yeah, the fat and carbs are my levers, so to speak. The next question is, Brendan, what is your opinion on BioSteel? So I just did a video on this, which I'll probably post. It's probably already posted at this point. So go look at my TikTok for a whole breakdown on BioSteel. But it's a really good drink. And it's a deeper topic here is a lot of supplement company manufacturers don't want to ever talk about any of their products. I'm not that way at all. I'm trying to get you healthy. If there's another product out there that I see on the shelves, I'm like, wow, this is pretty good, I'm going to talk about it. I don't care. Like, I just don't care about that. I don't see the world that way. Some people do, and they just want to protect their own brand and not talk about any other supplement that's good. I think it's ridiculous. Pretty good drink. It was $3 for like one serving of electrolytes, which is kind of crazy. Like one scoop of our electrolytes in water. Obviously it's a powder versus like a pre-made drink is what I was looking at. So I don't know the price of their powders. But yeah, we're $1 per serving. They were $3.80 with tax in California. But good ingredients, stoked. The next question is, Brendan, for cooking, what type of brand of salt should I use? Like what brand of salt? So there are a lot of salt brands. What I like is Redmond's Real Salt. I just really like the flavor and the texture on it. I think that's a big thing with different sea salts is, do you like the flavor and the texture? Sometimes I'll use Maldon sea salt as like a finishing salt. It's a bit more expensive, but that one's pretty good. And you can get some pink Himalayan salt. It's available in a lot of places. Don't buy the hype on people saying pink Himalayan salt is dangerous. Oh, it might have lead. That study, it examined 32 samples of pink Himalayan salt, and one of the samples, which actually wasn't from the Himalayas whatsoever, it was from Peru, one of those samples had a tiny bit more lead than is allowed in Australia. So let me break that down for you again. 32 samples tested in this study. One of them had slightly more lead than was allowed in Australia, and their like limits for lead are very strong. I agree with that. I don't think you should have lead in your salt. 1 out of 32. So you're most likely to be buying, if you buy a good pink Himalayan salt, you're probably good, and it's a really delicious salt, rich in minerals. Big fan of pink salt. The next question is, Brendan, what are your thoughts on antidepressants, SSRIs? I mean, look, let me preface this by saying, you know, I'm not a doctor. Listen to your doctor, obviously. But here are my thoughts on it. I think they're overprescribed in a lot of cases. What I am not a fan of is that people around the world go to the doctor and the doctor does no basic health checkups. Let's talk about vitamin D right now. There are so many really legit studies connecting low vitamin D to depression. So what I would ask you is, did your doctor get your vitamin D levels tested? No? Well, that's kind of concerning because we know this is an easy thing to check off. Low vitamin D, firmly associated with depression. There's not really a debate on that. They could test your vitamin D levels. It's extremely cheap. The results are ready in 1 to 2 days. And if you have low vitamin D, they could tell you to take a vitamin D supplement. Right there, you can check off a box of something that's associated with depression. You can just check that off. Are you overweight? Do they ask you, are you exercising? We know that 120 minutes a week of cardio, which is not a lot, but 120 minutes a week cardio firmly moves the needle with depression. There are some basic things that if I were to go to a doctor, they might not check up at all and they would give you an antidepressant. Now, maybe if the case is severe and there's some urgency, okay, I understand that. But I think we can all agree that a good doctor would check some of those things off. How are you sleeping? Are you exercising? What food are you eating? How are your nutrient levels? How are your hormone levels? Is your testosterone crashed in the tank and is your estrogen skyrocketing? We know, this isn't a debate, we know these things are associated with depression. Now, a good doctor, I would think, would maybe fix all of those issues. Your testosterone's good, you're sleeping well, you're eating well, your vitamin D level's good, you know, some basic stuff. Are you staying hydrated? And if all those things are dialed in, you're still depressed, I think SSRIs may have their place. It's not my expertise. But the fact that we just have millions of people going in and boom, they leave 5-minute discussion, they get their SSRIs with no plan to get off them ever, I think that's a serious concern. The next question is, Brendan, what is your opinion on Andrew Tate? So this guy got very popular in the last few years with some of his videos, and what is my opinion on him? Look, I think a lot of people demonize this guy because of a lot of the ways that he talks about women and stuff like that, and then some of the charges that aren't actual charges, but that he's been, you know, charged with, I guess, or attempted to be charged with. And look, I don't love everything the guy says, but we're in this weird place in the world where you don't have to love everything someone says to say, hey, there's some kernels of truth of what he's saying, okay? Do I want to be like him? No. Would I want to treat women the way he does? Probably not. I'm a bit different there. But some of the values that he talks about are beneficial to young men. When he says exercise and, you know, learn and read and be respectful and be a gentleman, I mean, if you embody those things and don't take into account some of the crazy stuff he says, Cool. I think that's a big benefit there. So I think it's pretty crazy how much he's been vilified. And yeah. The next question is, Brendan, what are your thoughts on AG1 and other greens powders? So I am not a fan of these greens powder supplements at all, and here is exactly why. First of all, these green powder supplements are often made with vegetable byproducts, so these aren't really like the the asparagus and kale and broccoli that are making it onto the shelves. It's like, ones that just didn't come out right. They're turning those into a powder, and they're saying, hey, you should drink this every single day, and they're going to dump in some probiotics and some other stuff. It's not a good idea. I would not take these whatsoever. They're extremely cheap supplement. I've talked to some of these manufacturers that make these greens powder supplements for a few dollars, and they mark them up to like 30, 40, 50 bucks. And this is why they have every single influencer and professional athlete in their bag. You really think Joe Rogan would take a, shitty deal? No. They have the money to pay people, and there's a reason for that. The margin is in their products. And I know that from talking to some of these manufacturers. Greens powders don't have the bioavailable form of vitamin A, which is retinol. They have beta carotene, which is the conversion of beta carotene to retinol is like 14:1. Sure, there's some vitamins in there, and there's also vitamins in, food, in beef. So I think greens powders are one of the dumbest supplements you could ever take, and I think they're a really bad place to start in terms of taking supplements. Probiotics also have become this like big thing where people go, there's probiotics in there, there's probiotics in there. Probiotics aren't necessarily good or bad. There are probiotic strains that can lead to histamine-creating bacteria in your gut. The gut is a very unique place, and a lot of these people just drinking kombucha and any type of probiotics to enhance their gut are doing it wrong. You're going to create some of the histamine-creating bacteria in your gut, which can give you, look up histamine intolerance. It can give you a bunch of issues there. So I wouldn't just dump as many probiotics as you can into your body. Not a fan of the greens powders at all. Next question is, Brendan, are your protein powders halal? No, they are not. We are working on getting them certified, but it takes a while. It's not just something we can just check the box of and be like, yeah, totally, we're going to do it right. So not yet. The next question is, Brendan, what are your thoughts on egg whites? So why I don't just isolate egg whites and just eat egg whites, and why I sometimes even throw them out when I'm doing a protein shake with a raw egg, is egg whites can bind to biotin. Is this a problem if you're just eating eggs every day? No, probably not. But if you're eating raw egg whites a lot, that can be a problem. And then we get into cooked egg whites. Probably the dumbest thing to do is to throw out an egg yolk. The dumbest thing to do. Egg yolk is where 90% of the nutrients of an egg are. You're talking choline, you're talking vitamin A, you're talking B vitamins. It is so nutrient dense, one of the best foods on earth, and to throw that out is a really bad idea. The next question is, Brendan, can you make a raspberry electrolyte flavor? We are working on some new electrolyte flavors, and I'm really excited about. Mango is dropping any day now. It's probably out by the time you're watching this, and it will sell quick. Go to Amazon, Santa Cruz Paleo Electrolytes, click on that mango flavor on the far right and get that because they're amazing. We are working on some flavors. Watermelon is something we're working on. Raspberry is something we're working on. The thing with using actual natural flavors, what I want to tell you is when we release a watermelon one, it's going to taste like a little bit watery, if that makes sense, because we're using actual watermelon flavor. It's not going to have that candy watermelon bullshit flavor, which comes from artificial watermelon flavor. So, and you can probably taste that in our electrolytes if you've tried them. It's like, yeah, this tastes like an actual orange. It's not some crazy candy type of flavor, but people seem to love them. I love them. So yeah, we're working on some stuff for you, and I'll look at raspberry. The next question is, Brendan, is it okay to smoke cigarettes if you live a completely healthy lifestyle otherwise? The answer is no, absolutely not. It's not healthy in any way, shape, or form. Yes, we do see studies showing nicotine can be a nootropic. It is not worth the downsides of smoking cigarettes. You're not just consuming nicotine when you smoke a cigarette. Look, you're basically going up against these corporations that spend billions of dollars to get you addicted to their products. And we know firmly what smoking cigarettes does to your health. And a lot of people say, oh, it's just lung cancer. Well, I'm in lung cancer. It's connected with all types of cancers. It's not just lung cancer. It's not how the body works. So I think it's a horrible idea. I think it's dumb. And I think these companies are still spending a lot of money to get you addicted to tobacco in any way, shape, or form that they can, whether that be a tobacco vape, whether it be a tobacco gum, whether it's, paying some people in some movie or some influencer to use a vape or use a cigarette. They're doing all that. I think it's dumb. I would stay away from tobacco as best as you can. The next question is about lab testing. What is the best way to get your hormone levels and your vitamin levels checked? So here's the deal. In the United States, oftentimes when you go to the doctor and you actually ask for a hormone panel or a vitamin level, they really won't let you get it. You have to press them extremely hard to get these levels checked. Sometimes you have to say that you're worried you have some condition of some sort. It's a pretty complicated process. So what I do in California is I go to Quest Direct and I get my lab test done through them. There's also Private MD Labs is another one. And I don't know if this works in every single state. Every state has their laws about them and every country it's different. But you can get lab tests ordered direct. And yeah, you'd have to pay out of pocket. It is sort of expensive, but I think it's really valuable. So what I like to get checked is my hormone levels. So I like to get my testosterone, my estrogen, my SHBG, my estradiol, like a full hormone panel. I also like to get my HbA1c, which is like a good marker of how your blood sugar has been the last 3 months. I like to keep that number below, 5.4, 5.3. C-reactive protein and triglycerides are a really good number to understand. I think cholesterol is interesting to get checked, but I'm not really worried about slightly higher LDL as long as my C-reactive protein and triglycerides are low and my HbA1c is low. That's an interesting lab test. And you can get your vitamin levels checked as well. Keep in mind, vitamin levels fluctuate a lot, so I wouldn't put a crazy amount of merit into them, but it is really good to get those checked occasionally. It's not something I would do like every couple months or anything like that. But yeah, get your labs done. Vitamin D is one of the easiest labs to get done. You should definitely dial in that number to be on the slightly higher side of the bell curve is what I believe. So yeah, get labs done. As far as how you go about them, if your doctor won't order them, you got to go direct. The next question is, Brendan, what are your thoughts on chewing gum? So, oh my God, I was at the SF airport and I was like, all right, hey guys, I'm gonna go get like a mint or some gum. And I walked into one of those normal stores in the airport and there was not one gum that I could find. Every single one of them had aspartame, acesulfame potassium, food dyes, titanium dioxide. It's insane. It's really crazy. That said, there are great gums out there. It should just be xylitol and a gum base is a common gum you can use. I'm not even against like a little mint that just has like cane sugar and peppermint oil as long as the sugar level's really low, like 0.5 gram or something like that. So that's what I would use for like a breath freshener. There are xylitol-based gums, which I am a fan of and I think are totally fine. I would not really personally want to be chewing on artificial sweeteners and stuff with titanium dioxide, and it's not what I want to do. So be careful out there, but yeah, gum I think is fine. The next question is about spices. Brendan, what should I consider when buying a meat rub? This is a really good question because it's kind of hard to find a good steak rub that isn't loaded up with sugar, sometimes seed oils in these actual steak rubs. You have to read the ingredients. What you want to look for is one that just is simple. We're talking, rosemary, black pepper, maybe garlic powder. You could make your own. Sometimes, if you get your own rosemary, you get some like sea salt, you get some garlic powder, you get some black pepper. That's what I like personally. Maybe some smoked paprika, maybe some smoked salt, whatever you want to do. But you might want to look into making your own. I just posted one in the cilantro lime chicken that I used that I just got off Amazon. It was like a chimichurri flavor kind of rub. That was really good. But you do want to be careful because the back of some of those ingredient lists, just look at them. Look at the spices in your store. Sugar, seed oils, artificial food dyes. It's crazy what's out there. So you don't want to be putting that onto your meat. All right, guys, that is it for this week's AMA. As always, leave your questions below and I will get to them next week. So if you have any questions about anything, let me know, and get some of our creatine, which is in stock on Amazon, and our electrolytes are back in stock. So mango, I think, should be out by the time this episode drops. Our protein powder as well is stocked up and it always sells quick. Chocolate and horchata sell very, very fast. So go get some stuff. Leave a review on Amazon if you've gotten anything. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, and I'll be back at you next week with another AMA.